G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Carmen Vicelich from Valocity, based in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. Thanks for your time today, Carmen.
Thanks for having me.
And how we know each other, Peter, our podcast editor or producer, reached out and asked you to come on the cast. We're trying to balance up the ledger to 50-50 male-female on the cast. We're almost there, so thank you very much for helping us out.
Fantastic.
So tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Sure. So my business, I actually started another company first called Data Insight. And every business in the world has lots and lots of data, but no insight. So Data Insight helps anyone that has lots and lots of data to make data-driven decisions through analytics and helping them leverage the power of that data. And at the same time, I then started Valocity in this business. The first business is very much to help fund Valocity. And every bank in the world is to validate the value of a property before you can lend money on it.
Yep.
And so Valocity helps them do that better and faster. Whether with models or with actually connecting digitally the valuer so that they can make a quick and fast decision. That's also best practice. And so that's what Valocity does. It connects the ecosystem of lenders, valuers, consumers, and brokers all together. Great.
So are all those three roles in that transaction customers in some way or just mainly the lenders?
Mainly the lender. So it's helping the lender basically remove friction from a process where the regulatory compliance has added friction, but customer expectations, when we're buying a home, it's often our most valuable asset. We want it to be seamless and easy and fast. So it's really filling those two frictions for the lender.
Great. And what countries do you operate in?
So we're working with lenders in New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, and India.
Yep. Great. Fantastic. Global business.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So tell our audience how you started out.
Well, I think very much we saw a problem that needed to be solved. And I think that's so important, is identifying a problem that you can see where something is really broken. And when you think about it, all the innovation in the world, but very little had changed in a very long time in the way that we actually get a property, the way that valuation is decided, the way the data flows through, and it was very much stop-start. So we really saw a problem to be solved. And we went and spoke to lenders in Australia and the US and New Zealand and said, why? Why do you do it that way? Why do you do it like that? And then really worked really closely with the lenders as well as the valuers to understand where were the problem and where did people come in and out of the process. And so focused on making that seamless and looking at that workflow and digitizing it. And we were very lucky in that because we were working so closely with one of the big lenders here, they did a pitch and we actually won that pitch as we went live. So it was a dream come true launching with our first bank and we were away from there.
Yeah. And what year was that? Did you just launch Valocity?
We've been just over 6 years. So we've now been live 6 years in New Zealand and we work with 4 of the 5 biggest banks here. So it has been pretty much, I would say rapid adoption, but actually in banking, that is rapid adoption.
Yes.
So it's been pretty, even though it doesn't feel rapid, we move pretty fast, but that's been pretty exciting and really, really strong partnerships with the lenders that we work with.
And did you bounce to Australia next? And what year was that?
Yeah, we did. So, once we had 2 banks in New Zealand, we always said, well, we actually, this is a global problem. And we were lucky enough to get introductions from lenders here. So not long after, went to Australia and launched there and won, some really great banking partners. So I think it's quite public knowledge. We work with digital innovators like ING, for example. And from there, then we got the opportunity in India and also then in Singapore. So it's all been, relatively fast. In terms of, I guess, scope and location.
Yeah, that's great growth in 6 years. Yeah. And how old were you when you launched in 2015 Valocity?
Well, I don't, don't ask a lady that, but I had 4 babies and decided I was ready for my next baby and to really focus on what I was doing. I was the income earner, so I have an amazing husband and business partner. So he works in both businesses who said, you always want to do your own thing and now's your time and believed in me. So, I guess when you go and tell people what you're going to do, I'm going to transform mortgage valuations systems around the world, and this is a business critical function for banks, and the key decision maker is chief risk officer, and you've got no data and you've got no technology, but you're going to do this thing, everyone would mainly think you're crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very lucky to have his support and belief, and took it from there.
So were there any competitors in New Zealand or Australia when you started up, or this is...
There was very much an incumbent monopoly, I guess, but doing things quite differently. And so we saw the opportunity to bring the latest technology, making it cloud-based, making it configurable, making it customizable, allowing the bank to differentiate. And a lot of the things, the way we did the decisioning was very groundbreaking and new. So, and then in markets like India and Singapore, certainly there's nobody doing what we're doing.
Right.
We're talking about particularly India, a very manual market. Where they're still using paper, the valuer is not connected digitally at all, the data's not connected digitally, and there's no benchmarking or quality control that exists. So it's really transforming that process.
Yeah, great. And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business?
No, we've really, I guess as a private company, we don't generally share that. We grew organically, and we have zero churn. So all of our contracts are 3 to 5 years. And yeah, we really have managed, I guess we managed to grow organically because of the rapid growth. And we brought on our first fundraiser. We didn't do a fundraising. We brought in our first investor who approached us just over 2 years ago, around 2.5 years ago. And that's been a great partnership of bringing in not just investment to help accelerate our global growth, but also bringing on business experience, and that experience of really growing a technology business and taking it global. So it's been invaluable.
What about number of team members? Can you share how many FTE you started with and what you're up to now?
So we started with, when we started as, I started it as Data Insight, and then separated out the company. So when I launched the platform, so Data Insight had this team in it working on this, and most of my founding team I shoulder tapped, and still today, much of our team has been shoulder tapped. So really good people bring their good people that they've worked with. So it's a very, very tight culture, and we've continued to grow the team, even globally in Australia and India. Those people were shoulder tapped based on introductions and references, and we've pretty much doubled every year. Wow,
fantastic. Can you share how many you've got now, FTE?
We've got just under 100.
Wow, fantastic. In 6 years, that's terrific growth. Well done.
Thank you.
When was the moment you felt like you'd succeeded?
I think, any probably true entrepreneur, you always want to keep on doing more. I don't know that the moment's there yet. Certainly for my first business, Data Insight, it really was incredible. Just last year, I promoted one of my team that had been with me all throughout the period as the CEO, and stepped into a chair role to really encourage my team there to continue to grow themselves. And that was a really sense of accomplishment, watching them grow into that role and seeing that business that's had a phenomenal year continuing to grow with me actually stepping back and more into a board and strategy role and just helping key clients.
Yep.
So that's amazing. And I guess for Valocity, every new market that we go into, or every single client, when it's your personal business, every single deal feels like a huge one and means a lot.
Yeah, great. And what does success look like to you?
Success means for me the freedom to choose how we want to work. So choose who we want to work with. So we have so much fun every day. We've got a dream team. There's nothing we can't do. And we feel so successful when we make our clients successful. We've had them on stage with us when we've won awards. We've had just such incredible support. So that collaboration and that innovation together is what really drives our passion and our excitement, that we're solving big problems that really matter to them. So that continues to drive success. And I guess as a mother of 4, showing my children, 3 of them are daughters, that you can do whatever you want to do and be whatever you want to be has also been quite exciting.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. That is really lovely. Yeah. So just back on can you share how many FTE you effectively started with for Valocity, because you took some out of Data Insights, yeah? Would you say?
We had a really small team. I think it was around 8. Really, really small, yeah.
That's great. So grown from around 8 FTE to just under 100 in 6 years. That is amazing growth. Yeah. Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Make sure you get product fit and that you just really work closely with your customers. You can come up with all the ideas in the world. If you're not solving a problem, and then you're not creating value, and they're not going to buy it. So then it's not like selling. If you're working with them and you just, the more you understand their problem, the better that you can solve it better than ever before, they're going to buy it. And it's not like selling. So that's the number one thing to do.
Yep, I totally agree. And funding your business, so you said you got investors in about 2.5 years ago. Any other funding options you used before that, bank finance, or just?
No, we grew organically. So I think that installs a real discipline, because nothing will drive you faster than when you kind of have to make a success, make it work, and you don't have money to waste. You don't have time to waste. So every person on your team counts, every decision counts, and you're being really, I think, disciplined around your execution. So I think that obviously everybody's different with a different journey and path, but that really made us really hungry, and it made us really good.
Yep. Yeah, terrific. And if you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
I definitely would. There's over, I think, 1.8 billion, according to the World Bank, of unbanked people in the world. And so fintech, there's so much opportunity. And if we can give people access to capital, whether it's to start a small business, whether it's to, build their own home on a piece of land, whatever it is, that access to capital, we can truly transform the world. And I guess the imbalance of that is still something that in today's day and age is just really frustrating. I'm on the UNICEF board in my spare time, and just seeing, I guess, the needs out there. So yes, I think definitely I would always invest in fintech.
Yeah, there's a huge need out there for what you're doing. So yeah, thank you. Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Oh gosh, I guess I would tell the audience it's like a roller coaster ride. No, it's not a straight line, and there's always going to be different things. And the most important thing is actually never giving up. And one of the things we would say is, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Or I would say, well, it's not like we blew up a rocket today, and we're not Elon Musk, so tomorrow's another day. We didn't blow up any rockets. It's not, we didn't kill anybody. It's not heart surgery. So sometimes shit happens, but as long as it doesn't happen again, move forward. I guess there's been many challenging times going into new markets. Everyone's got staff stories, but even for us to start, there was a major competitor that really didn't want us to start. And really tried to block us, and so even just actually starting the business was a challenge. And I think those things just make you more resolute and stronger, and especially if you're passionate about what you're doing, none of those things matter in the end. Yeah,
totally agree. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Probably recognizing as a perfectionist control freak that as the business grows, it won't grow if I want to be involved in every decision, and actually I just can't be across everything. So, hire good people, trust them that they know what they're doing, and give them autonomy, and just continue to step back and step up. So I think of myself, I'm chief of strategy and chief of culture, and that's my job. And, so actually you just can't be involved in everything. And it's actually making a conscious decision to let others lead, because then your business is better for it. And it's amazing watching your own people grow when you do that, when you give them the space.
Yeah, it's really challenging as an owner, entrepreneur, to let go. A lot of us are perfectionists or control freaks, but you say quite rightly, you cannot get that growth unless you do let go and get out of their way and let good people run, other parts of the business. Totally. And what have you enjoyed least about managing the fast growth?
I don't think there's anything that I've not enjoyed, actually. I think, probably to do this, you have to be a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, and you're like, well, yeah, you actually thrive on that. So, even when you have unknowns thrown at you, I guess, we had COVID and multiple markets locked down all at once. And, in one moment there was all this panic, I can't control this. And in the other moment, actually, after a thoughtful pause, it was like, well, shit, we've always been agile. We got this. So
we'll work it out.
Plan B, plan C, plan D. If we get to plan E, we hope we don't. But as long as we've got a plan, we'll get there. So agility is everything. It's, as I said before, it's not a straight line. Yeah, no,
that's a really good attitude to have, Carmen. And what do you love most about growing a small business?
The people. You can do whatever you want to do as a leader. I remember one of my team did something amazing, and I came back from the client and just dropped this giant bunch of flowers on her desk, and she just started crying. And she said, "No one's ever done that," or surprising someone with a holiday when they've just worked so much overtime, and you just want to give them over and above, and you can because you're the owner and you're the founder, and you're like, "Well, I want to do that." Or when you do things for nothing for a client, sometimes I remember my last company, they go, "Oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, we can't." And we're after every single dollar, and actually sometimes I don't want to invoice them for $100. That's just embarrassing and small-minded. So I love having the control of all the things that I want to do, and I very much believe what you give out comes back to you. So the people is what's so exciting.
And what's been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
I suppose just to, in mindset shift, I think it's been, really a gradual shift. I don't think there's any big mindset shift. I think it's just recognizing that to be the right leader for a business, you have to continue to grow. One of our values is better never stops. And that means better never stops. It means I can continue to change my org chart, the functions, the squads, how we do things, because what got us here won't get us there. And as the leader and the founder and the entrepreneur, that applies to me too. So I think from a mindset perspective, is recognizing even I have to keep growing as the business grows. Listen to those podcasts like I mentioned before we started, and doing all those things, so I am the right person to lead the business as it becomes a global, huge global company.
I love that value, better never stop. So I'm going to throw that into my list of values that companies can choose from. That's a really, really good one. What's the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Focus. Mm-hmm. Just can't do everything. We see it a lot in New Zealand, the whole we can do, jack of all trades. And I guess the example analogy I like to give is an Olympic athlete is an athlete and can probably do lots of things, but they don't go, I'm going to do the shot put and I'm going to do the 100 meter and I'm quite at a long distance too. They'll never win a gold award. And they might win 3 bronze medals, but they'll never win gold. And so it's focus. Find that product fit, stay close to your customers and build what they want. And then you can get diverted.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
And that other saying, if everything's a priority, nothing is.
Exactly.
Find it hard to define a clear strategy, then communicate it and execute it alongside the rest of your team? Or you currently don't work a simple quarterly strategic plan to boost your team's performance? Our Business Growth Formula online course is perfect for small business owners with 5 to 30 team members wanting to grow. We share the mindsets, habits and tools to be a legendary leader in your business. growsmallbusiness.com.
Can you talk to how you've added people to the team? Some wins, mistakes and advice for those listening?
I'm sure every founder and entrepreneur's biggest mistakes are also people mistakes, even though they're the biggest joy.
Yep.
I guess one of the probably well-known mistakes is you're going fast and you're agile and you're doing this for the first time ever and you're like, well, I don't know what I don't know. And so you kind of get to the stage where you think, I've got to bring someone that's done this before and they've come from a corporate and they've got structure and process and it's not so crazy and they'll know what to do. And you bring them in and they are just so slow and they are just totally not a cultural fit. So they need to go back to where they were before, where decisions took a very long time, not a lot happened, and they can just that's suited to them. So it was really, that was the biggest mistake, thinking that somebody came from a bigger corporate or had that experience would be a right fit culturally, and often they wouldn't. And likewise, we had one of our team that got shoulder tap to go and work for a big corporate and look after innovation, and he came back very, very quickly realizing actually there's no innovation there. Their definition and speed is different to ours.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Big difference between the two. Yeah. So you got the opposite of what you were hoping for because they were so used to bureaucracy and decisions being made slowly.
Yeah. And understandably, I guess they've had a whole career of that. That's all they know. I'm like, no, have you done it yet? And like, oh, okay, I thought we can have a business case. No.
Let's just get on with it. Yeah. And what are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
I think alignment is everything. Doesn't matter how big or small your business is. I'm teased for my boat analogies, but if everyone's on the boat, you need to know who is doing what, who's the captain, and what island are we going for.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing, because the wind can come and the tide can come, and you might get otherwise the sail's just going to flap. And because, we have very large competitors, I think of us as this dynamic speedboat and them as the Titanic. And so, if we're not dynamic and really just going at speed, then we lose a lot of our advantage.
Yeah. And tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I don't know that there is balance. I think it's more about understanding your values and what are you prepared to compromise on and what are you not. But also don't fool yourself and think you're going to have a successful business and it's just going to happen from luck. It takes blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah,
so, I've missed Mother's Day because I was in India pitching to a big bank on the Monday, and I remember seeing everybody's Facebook posts with all their kids on Mother's Day, and I was sitting in a hotel room by myself waiting for the next day, and I've missed my son's cross country when my husband sent me a photo of him coming first, and I was at a meeting and they'd changed the rainy day, but actually then I said I'm never going to miss another cross country. Next year I got there and he won. I was like, Mommy's here this time, you've got to win again. Like, no pressure. And I was in a work outfit, but I got there. So it's really understanding and making sure your kids or your family, whatever other balance things that you're trying to balance, are part of the journey.
Yes.
So I share the successes with my children, and obviously my husband's involved, so they understand why Mummy's doing what she's doing.
Yeah, great. And how much professional development have you invested in yourself over the years? Podcasts, courses, training, conferences, events, things like that. Books.
I guess mostly my own time, a lot of reading, and of looking who's gone before you. I usually enjoy the SASTA conference in California, San Francisco in the US, because then you're learning from really big tech giants that have done what you've done, and a lot of those founders are speaking on stage. So I always find that one of the better conferences. So it is really making sure you're always working on you and looking after mental and physical health as well, because if you're wanting to push your body really hard, you do have to look after it. And so when I was traveling a lot, obviously not at the moment, just drinking a lot of water, running in the gym in the hotel and looking after myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very important. Have you had any mentors or coaches along the way you can tell us about that experience and value added?
I wouldn't say mentors or coaches, but I've always had an advisory board of people that I trust, of people that I can call when I've got a problem, of people that I can bounce off my thinking. And quite often, even the act of explaining the problem to them will make you realize you know the answer. And so sometimes, or when you're doubting something and they're like, well, no, that you are right there, that shouldn't have happened, or that person that's not okay. And you're like, yeah, I thought so. That's really, really important. As you grow or your business grows, those people will be different. But it's making sure you surround yourself with people that you trust, but also that people that have done where you're going. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. There's a lot of people that want to be mentors or reach out on LinkedIn and they want to help with coaching and everything like that. But actually, I kind of listen to people that have built or done what I'm wanting to do and take advice from them.
Well, that's the next question, board of directors or advisors. So when did you put that board of advisors in? How often do they meet and how big's the board?
After 3 months. So my first 3 months I put it in. So both Data Insight and Valocity has always had an advisory board. And most of the people have been with me throughout the journey, and then I've added some additional ones on. I think only 3 to 4. I don't think it depends how big the business is, but I really don't think more than that. And look for people that have different skills to you. So if you think of the personality wheel, you don't want all the people with the same risk appetite as you. Often entrepreneurs have a relatively believing in themselves and wanting to go. So getting that balance is really important.
Oh, absolutely. And how often do they meet? Monthly or quarterly?
Monthly, yeah.
And does the board have a chair?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So the Data Insight chair, I'm now the chair. And Valocity, we're just in the process of changing chair. So it's really, really important. And obviously our director's also on our Valocity board, and he's been really great to work with. And actually, having your senior leadership team contribute to your board papers, it's just that moment to work holistically on the business instead of in the business, and really how you're going. Have you achieved the goals that you said you were going to do, or are you, not actually executing?
Yeah. All right, Carmen, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
The hardest thing in growing a small business, it depends obviously on what your business is. What's the hardest? You just want it to go faster. So I'm a pretty impatient person. So for me, it was like I want it to all happen faster. Otherwise, I think it's probably the most fun I've ever had. So I had to come up with something like that. I've absolutely loved it from day one.
Great. And favourite business book, which has helped you the most?
I would say Good to Great. Jim Collins is one of my favourites.
Oh, it's great. You read his first book, Built to Last?
Yes, Built to Last.
Yeah.
Just both of them. I just constantly, actually, they just stay with me, and those lessons in there.
Yeah, he's like the godfather of, vision, mission, values, etc. I'm glad he wrote the second book, Good to Great, for us mere mortal business owners, because, the first book was the 18 visionary companies like Disney and Sony. Just, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the data that he used to back them up as well. Like, Southwest Airlines, how did they succeed? No other airline did, and they had 9/11 and just so many lessons.
And any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I like Blinkist because I'm in a lot of traffic, and it's kind of short versions of books. So depending on what I'm thinking about or any problems that I'm often in the car. Unfiltered Live, so Jake Miller's recordings of entrepreneurs, and actually that you can actually choose a different topic. So when I was fundraising, listening to them are really great, and the SAFTA series as well, also really good.
Great. And one tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
A tool, I guess just having a visionary board and having a playbook. A playbook would probably be the number one thing. Your playbook is, why do you exist? What will you do? What do you not do? Why do you win? And actually really your values. And when you set that in stone, when I look at my playbook, even so many years later, all those things still hold true. So those are your foundational values. And so when things like COVID happens and you're like, oh, what do we do? And just go back to our values. What's the most important things? People first, customer obsessed, better never stops. So we've got the courage to challenge, we'll be fine.
On to our final and my favourite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Think big.
Think big. Great. Well, thanks for your time today, Carmen. I think the audience got a shit ton of value out of what you shared with us today. Congratulations on the 6 years with Valocity and Data Insight before that as well. For yourself, your husband, the board and the wider team, I think that is phenomenal growth from about 8 FTE to just under 100 for Valocity. And in the 6 short years, that's just amazing.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.